Hello and welcome to the Real Drunk Show. I am here today with Candace and Allison, and we are here to talk part two of Theology and Film Waiting to Exhale. Hey, ladies.
Hi,
Who wants to go first with the introductions?
I'll go.
Okay, Candace.
Hey, Candace from Detroit, and I am drinking a very dry gin martini to match my feelings for the world.
Oh,
Mm.
say more about that. Say more about your feelings
Oh,
for
why
the world.
would you make me
That's
talk about
dry.
my feelings? I pay a woman a lot of money to talk about my feelings in private. Um, I am probably decidedly numb.
Mm,
So the world has already been so heavy. Like I said in my intro, I'm here in Detroit. Detroit is my home. Detroit is my first love, and it has suffered um, so much loss over the last 3 months. You can't not know someone. If you are Black in Detroit, you can't not know someone impacted, and likely you can't not know someone who is not here anymore.
mm,
And honestly, it's more like someone's that are not here. I was keeping a list for a while and it had 15 names on it, and that's when I stopped because it got to be too much.
mm-hmm.
And so to walk into the last few weeks in this country and have us have this invisible enemy at our door and this visible enemy, and everyone's attacking, and we're unarmed and unprepared and unsupported. And I don't know how to get up every day and do my job, which is important. I don't know how to get up every day and be a good friend, be a good person to me, and not numb myself to some of it. And that doesn't mean that I'm not reactive. It does not mean that I'm not empathetic. It does not mean that I'm not doing everything in my personal power to assist. It means that I am not allowing myself right now to feel everything that I would normally feel. I cannot afford right now to shut down. And that's the only option left. I don't have another place to go. And that's scary for me because eventually I'm going to get to that place. It's coming. But it can't come right now.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, if I'm going to keep operating, I have to numb certain feelings so that I am able to keep operating. And I am afraid of what happens when I can't numb myself anymore. Allison.
I'm Allison from Atlanta. I am drinking the last thing Jesus had before Jesus said, you know what, take my body, I'm gone, which is wine. Because I get it. Like, you've done all you can. You've done the speeches, you've done your protests, you've done your march, turned out the temple. And it's just still hell going on. And before Jesus took his last breath, he was like, yo, can I have some wine? Can I just have some wine? So that's where I am. I just want some wine. How we're feeling? Oh, it literally is day. It depends on the day. You wake up one day, you're good, nothing going on outside the world. It's just me and my bubble in my house. You wake up the next day, you get a death text, and at this point, I don't know what's harder to manage, the COVID deaths or the deaths, and you still can't be there for people. So between that and then managing like this country, I was a history major undergrad. So, and I just always love American history, always love history. And it was always something of the past, we see it a little bit now, but now like watching this, like watching the White House tweet out, they're going to shoot American citizens. I think that's when I did today.
And arrest a journalist on live television.
I think I've done very well in processing my emotions, but that's what made me cry today was the tweets from the White House. And I'm like, no, like, I don't know what else you need. You can't. And I saw a very poignant tweet that said, you can't say you love Hunger Games. You can't say you love Star Wars.
That's right.
Rings, Harry Potter, and not understand what's going on right now.
Yeah. Of course, many people who claim they love sci-fi.
Right, you just there's a disconnect there. So
yeah, this idea that you can love sci-fi and not understand racism has always been hilarious to me, because sci-fi at its very heart is about uncovering systems of oppression. Like, that is really what it does best. And if you are telling me that you can't see the correlations, then I guess you sleeping through the movies or through life. I don't know which one.
It's
that was so, like, that is what I needed to hear, because I don't love sci-fi. Like, the sci-fi that I engage with is attached to history, like Quantum Leap or Octavia Butler's Kendrick. Like, I love history, so my sci-fi has to be tinged in some history. But now you made me want to, like, revisit the whole genre and just, wow.
Because that's what it's really trying to get at. It's really trying to tell stories of humanity and take humans out of it in a lot of ways, so that we can see these stories more equally. So if you've not watched Orville, which is the Seth MacFarlane show on Fox, and this is a weird thing for me to be talking about Seth MacFarlane and Fox on this particular podcast, but here we are. But anyhow, the Orville does a beautiful job of talking about sexuality and race and religion, but it's all through these other living beings, right? So you can take some of the human element out of it, and it's really good.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the kind of day we're having. Taylor Swift is the new Kanye. I'm talking about Seth MacFarlane. Here we are, world.
Listen, I said that not long ago. And look, Allison lost her sacred text. We must be sensitive in this conversation.
You cannot be at the 2009 VMA sitting on Spelman's campus as a staff member. You could not have paid me. Like, if time travel, like, say I hop in the DeLorean right now and go say, hey, 2009, Allison, guess what? Trump is president. Okay, I kind of see that. People, folks love him. But then I'd be like, yeah, Kanye loves racism and Taylor Swift. And I'm like, you're lying. Run me my money.
Honestly, if I have to go listen to that 21 album now, I'm going to be. Is that what it's called? I don't know nothing about Taylor Swift. I'm going to be real angry.
You know what? There was a Taylor Swift song that I really used to like. I'm going to find it and send it to you, but I can't remember the name of it.
That's going to be my intro to Taylor Swift, because I have been really working on not knowing a lot about her.
Cindy says, hi, Candace.
Hi, Cindy. Cindy and I used to work together when I was in college. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy. Thank you for joining
And also, Cindy is about this life, so thank you for being about this life.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick, because Daz Brown felt the need to reach out and give a hug to all the dope white people. And my response to that was, I wish I had his tweet pulled up. I don't. But here it is. Look at Twitter mentions blowing up. Okay, he reposted a meme that said, never let racist white people make you forget about the dope white people that I know exist. I love y'all. 100.
What?
Strong arm emoji.
He felt the need to comfort.
And that was my response. I responded, the dope white people I know don't require coddling or reassurance when Black folks are being murdered in the streets, because they're standing with me and calling out white supremacy and anti-Blackness.
Yeah.
They're doing the work to unlearn, and they're holding folks accountable.
Yeah.
So I don't have to step over Black bodies to hug my white friends and say, thank you for being dope. Like, that's the basic that human beings are supposed to do, no?
Yeah, for everybody. If you see someone in danger, you should do something about it.
It reminds me of when they always talk about why y'all be applauding Black dads for doing stuff they supposed to do. The park, oh my God, let's create a Black dad with kids at the park. And it's like, he's supposed to take them to the park.
That's his job. Well, evidently, y'all, that's evidently not their jobs. Because listen, if you talk to your girlfriends that are at home with their husbands during quarantine, I don't know if it's bad. So,
that is why single mom, been a single mom since I was 18, never even had to co-parent for real. And did what needed to be done, But what I decided when my child was around 14, 15, is like the emotional toll that it takes to parent a child. I was not willing to do that again at that point in time in my life. Like, I'm almost done. I will not start over. And I didn't trust a man to meet me and take on even 50% of that based on the partnerships I've seen. Am I crazy for that?
I think it's not just the, okay. So one thing I do have some sideline empathy for the men on is that in times of trauma and sadness, children cling to their mothers.
Yes.
I think it is a very, of course, it's just, it is literally the earth reminding you of where to go home to. And so we're in the middle of a traumatic moment. And and so children are clinging to their mothers. I literally was laid out on this floor the other day. My mother passed away 12 years ago, and I was longing for my mother. Like in this moment, I'm almost 40 years old, and I was longing for my mother, right? So I get that some of that is happening, but this distribution of household labor has been exposed in an incredible way. All of these women that I know have jobs at the same level as their husbands with the same pressures, some of them with more pressures. But they're also teacher and cook and baker and doctor and best friend and playmate. I had one girlfriend, I was like, is your husband home? Is he there still? Girl, did he leave? Because I had not seen him. And every time I talked to her, she was doing something. What is he doing? And that's how I know it's a scam.
And I think that's because, they be trying to talk me, like I have a fear of marriage. And my friends always say it's always weird that the people who grew up in healthy marriages always have the biggest fear of marriage. And I grew up in a family where everything was evenly distributed on some level, whatever it looked like. And I'm just afraid of getting in something that's like, I got to do everything and you just go to bills.
I didn't grow up in that household.
I can't do it. And I dated oh no, it's going to be even. And then you get in there, it's like, why are you not cooking? I didn't cook when we met.
You thought this was going to change?
No, it's going to change.
I am what I am.
That's right. It's very fascinating, like in the dynamics. That's why I get why Bernie just especially if you take on all the emotional labor.
Yes.
In the house, so you're managing the business, and then you're like, I'm out. It's not only a disruption of it's not only but I get Bernie because it's not only a disrespect of everything I've done, but it's a disruption of my life. What am I supposed to do now? You've been my whole life.
Yep. And I don't think that men understand how much emotional labor they put on women. Even the healthiest of men lean on the women in their lives, mama, sister, girlfriend, wife, whoever, in this really difficult way. And so even if you are in a household where there is a bigger division and a bigger divide of, the physical labor, that emotional labor almost always still falls on women.
And someone broke it down on Twitter one time, and they were like, who thinks about when kids need new coats, when kids need new shoes?
Listen.
Who is the one who sends out party invitations or even plans family gathering? Like, this all requires physical, mental, and emotional energy that is never taken into account. And now you want to leave me and say I wasn't with you shooting in the gym? No, I was at home making sure Christmas happened, sir. Run me my money.
I had to make sure that your mother and your stepmother didn't come to the baby's birthday party at the same time. That's what I was doing. Okay? I was keeping your family together.
I read an article in school that's something I had never thought about before. And it says not only emotional labor, but we don't talk about the emotional labor we put on women who serve in customer service or people service roles.
Truly.
Emotional labor that you got to show up to work. You got to be friendly. You have to be pleasant. You have to be miss everything for everybody. You're not allowed to have meltdown like this. Always be, especially if you're in a people serving position, to always be picture perfect and then come home and manage more. Like, it's a lot.
And if you're a Black woman where everybody already thinks you're angry.
So you have to overcompensate at work.
You got to be extra smiley.
extra friendly.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say, and I'm going to use this as an example. When I recruited for Spelman College, the hardest part of my job was being a picture perfect thing of is because people already had expectations. So if I'm having a bad day, if I'm coming in a room representing Spelman, I can't come in with an attitude because then it's, oh, Spelman got the attitude.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
On the face, how you doing, sis? But Queen, Melanin, welcome.
Yep.
And that is taxing. It's taxing teachers. Teachers, you know, you want to cuss out the kids and just say, but you can't. You gotta. It is. Woo, we don't talk about emotion.
Not enough.
So, connecting this to Waiting to Exhale, we're talking about like the emotional toll of relationship, but these women all desired relationship. I have a question for you all. Is what we saw on film a desire of relationship, or is it a search for validation because society tells you you're supposed to be married? Is it a desire for love or a desire for the validation that comes with being attached to a male partner?
So my therapist sent you here.
Listen, I was just going to ask, like, did you give me
Cool. Great.
I'm actually using y'all for free therapy to figure out my own issues. Like, tell me what's going on.
I think it's a combination of both. You just have to discern which one is driving the boat.
Ooh.
Ooh. And that's the hardest one. That's the hardest lesson. Is do I desire a marriage and kids, or do I desire to be validated in what society says I'm supposed to have?
So then I can answer this question a little bit. So I know that any desire I have to have children is about society. Candace has never had a desire to have children. As a child, I was like, this seems dumb. Who would do this? My desire to have partnership is something different. It is something very different. And I think a lot of that is rooted in me losing my immediate family so young and wanting to form a family. And for me, a family does not necessarily need to include children. Or at least not children that I birthed.
Yeah, agreed. I think I had to reconcile that with myself in my 20s. Like, I think a lot of me wanting to have children is because I feel like I've been taught that's what I'm supposed to. But as a desire, like at this big age of 37, okay, because, you know, I get shot up in my 40s and I get pregnant, then that baby, listen, I don't know.
Did you get shot up in your 40s? Is that what happened?
Well, because if I feel like by my 40s, I can kind of take off all the birth control, because if they're still an egg by 48, then listen, that egg want to be
Allison,
you're going to be pregnant at 40. And
you got to be careful. You really have to be careful. You're saying some dangerous things to the universe.
I see it happening now.
No, but
speaking of, Allison, someone said hello to you.
See, listen, same way. Like my mom will have to be in charge of the children's ministry because she's expected to as the first lady, but that is not like one of her favorite. And I think it's hard for women because my mom and I have been having these conversations like, Mommy, it's okay to admit you don't like kids. I can't say that. I have kids. That don't mean you don't like kids. And I think it's hard for women to say that, because if you admit you don't want kids, you're not expected, oh, you're selfish, you don't know love, you don't know the proper meaning.
You're not a real woman.
You're not a real woman, and I'm okay with being selfish enough to say I like sleep more.
Yeah, and you know, men put that stuff on us. Like men, especially men. Like, and now that I'm dating older men, like men maybe in their 50s, like 50, 51.
I got questions.
Oh, you got a sugar daddy, Candace?
No, we're not. Man, we're 40. That's not what okay? You got to go to 60 to get to that. You old now. You missed it. So, you know, I think that they put some of that on you. Like when I say I don't have kids and when I say I don't want kids, they sort of get a little freaked out. Like,
yeah.
Whoa, what are you? What kind of game are you playing? The game where I keep all my money. That's the game I'm playing, and my time.
That is an important game. And so I have a question. Go ahead, Allison.
That's why Christina from Grey's Anatomy is one of my favorite characters, because she was. I'm not at the point where her like, no, I don't want children at all. Like I do at one point want to adopt a child. Child.
Okay.
I want to adopt a baby. I need.
Allison gonna be 40 pregnant with an adopted kid all at the same time.
You can see this path. You can see it. It's so clear.
Nah, man, hand me a 10-year-old. I need a child that already knows fractions, can already fix their own cereal.
You out of here. You gonna get that 10-year-old and a baby. You've claimed too many things on this call.
Christina was relentless. Like, this is what I want. And she didn't let anybody dehumanize her for saying, I do want a career.
That's right.
I do want this over there.
That's right.
Traditional role. I'm not broken.
Yeah. The billionaire, I don't know if you've heard of her, Oprah, has talked a bit about this. Yes,
Tell me more about her.
I refer to her now
Oprah?
as a billionaire, so I can remind myself she's a billionaire and not just love her, but also remember that she's also a billionaire, so she's kind of problematic. So anyhow, Oprah has talked a lot about her choice, like this choice at some point not have children and also not to get married. And I have really appreciated those conversations because I think especially as a Black woman, especially as Black women raised in the church, this was not the expectation for my life. For me or anybody else. Like nobody thought I'd be almost 40 and unmarried and childless, whether I thought I wanted those things or not, because it wasn't about what I wanted. And so I really appreciate the space to be able to choose your life. And I think that's the same thing that like Bernie found out after she left her husband, and she got to choose her life. Like she got to decide, like, if I want to sleep with this married man, I will sleep with this married man. If I want to hate this white woman, questionably, I mean, we'll get to that. I'm gonna hate this white woman, right? Like whatever. If I want to cut my hair, I'll cut my hair. She had not had the possibility of choice, and that's one of the things that marriage, for me, I really have to think about if I want it, because you do lose choice in some marriages, in most marriages, many marriages.
We felt like we had to get married to have sex. Let's talk about this, because my next question was, what role does the church play in telling women, of giving women the desired or the validation of partnership? Or how am I asking this question? What role does the church play in reinforcing validation through partnership on women?
First of all,
go ahead.
All your sermons are, it always baffles me that there are two creation stories. And we never preach the one about women being made in the image of God. We only want to hear rib and helpmate, rib and helpmate, rib and helpmate. And in that message right there is already telling women, okay, man, he's enough by himself. A woman, nah, bro, you got to be here for him. You got to walk side by side. You got to sit and talk to the snake while your man go out there and name all the animals and ignore you.
Wait, Allison, wait. Adam was at work. Eve was at home with the snake being ignored.
Actually, my uncle is a bishop, and it was one of my favorite sermons because he preached, because he said, well, maybe if Adam was talking to his wife, she had to talk to the serpent. And so we're already teaching this message and preaching this message of partnership, that you're going to get married and your man going to do all the work and ignore you, and you just going to be left here to get into tempting ways with a snake. But it's okay because he naming the animals. She can't come name animals, Adam? She's like, she don't know. She
can come up with zebra.
No, name them.
She had zebra.
Zebra is a hard word. It is a big word for the female, Candace.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows this.
We talked about this on the last, the first part of this conversation, is that so much of what the church is built on is these marketing topics, right? So single is a marketing topic. Divorced is a marketing topic. Old is a marketing topic. And these are the groups that need to be in the church to work on themselves, to make themselves better. If you got rid of single women and told them they didn't need the church to find a spouse, do you know how many tithes churches would lose? They can't lose that kind of money. They got building funds to fund. The church is a hedge fund, and hedge funds need money.
How you gonna support the local bowling alley if you can't have single Christian bowling night?
How can you? You can't, actually. How can we have this conference and invite the daughter of somebody's pastor who happened to have a husband because, I mean, she had been sleeping with everybody in the church anyhow, so eventually somebody was going to marry her. How can
Somebody
we
who
do
wanted
that?
access to the pastor's power was eventually going to say, yeah, I might as well marry her.
Hey, if you are the president of the United States, your child will always be able to find a spouse. If you're the president of a church, your child will always be able to find a spouse.
One day I'm going to host a PK conference. Speaking as a fellow PK, I'm going to host a singles PK concert talking about, sis, he's sleeping with you to get your daddy's church.
He wants your church, girl. He wants the assets.
I'm just do that there.
That was the whole line on what's the show? Oprah show.
Sunday service? Oh, Greenleaf.
Yes. Charity's poor dumb ass.
Oh, Charity girl.
For the PK princesses, honey, because that's a whole other show, though. That's a whole. We just need a show on Greenleaf.
Actually,
look, that's its
the
own
theology
podcast
of Greenleaf. It's a whole other thing.
Because every time I watch Greenleaf, I just be like, "Who told?"
So, and I believe it's a white man who does that show.
Well, he is doing a good job.
Which was very intriguing. I could be wrong. I need Google to fact check me on that. But I remember thinking,
it's probably Kelsey Grammer. He's giving us all our favorite Black entertainment.
Let's content. Okay, Kelsey gave us content. Then Warner's gave us content. You know, we gotta uphold some of the white Black content creators.
They haven't all done a bad job.
Norman Lear.
Touche.
Not everybody's Norman Lear. Okay.
Right. Fair.
So we're at the end of May, and it is like Healthy Sex Education Month or something, they tell me.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How can Christians help form healthy sex ethics? Like, what does healthy Black female sexuality look like? Because I feel like everyone in Waiting to Exhale was searching for that. And they had no tools to like really pull from or to see what that looked like before. What does it look like? How do we come up with good Christian sex ethics around Black sexuality?
First, you gotta stop saying the flesh and the spirit is separate.
Mm-hmm. Allison's talking good.
I think we have to re-embrace incarnate theology and talk about the flesh and spirit being one. Now, Paul ain't my favorite in the Bible. He ain't probably number 100, but Paul is clear in saying the flesh and spirit are one. And so I think once we get to that and understanding the divinity in the flesh, that is not warring, I think it's Monica Coleman who says it, or it's either in the Dina Project or it's in Sexuality in Black Church, and just said, if the flesh is so dirty, then why did God take a piece of God's self, wrap itself up in flesh, and send it to earth to live as Jesus? That doesn't make sense. You got to make it make sense. So we have to start there with the ethics of your flesh and stuff is good. And we have to stop with this ethics of anything sexual without the confines of a legal marriage is dirty, because you can't make that disconnect once a ring is slapped on your finger. And then we got to stop telling women their purity is only in their vagina.
Wait, are you saying that I am more than my vagina?
I mean, if a man is more than his penis, why can't I be more than my vagina?
Well, are they?
Depends on. Let me be quiet.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think some men are taught that they're only their penis, and that's how they behave.
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's how we get the futures.
Yeah, right, because we're taught your value. We teach women that your value is within your virginity by how many the least miles you have, the more valuable you are. But we tell the more miles you have, the more valuable you are. So then there's a disconnect of how we both approach sexuality.
Yep.
More limited, one is more free. So then how we come to the middle. And then if a woman expresses free sexuality, she's a hoe. And that is probably my biggest issue with Waiting to Exhale, is that every woman who they show expressing their sexuality it either has to be because it's in a dirty act, he's on coke.
Yep.
These women sleeping with married men and cokeheads. The only one who's good is Gloria, but they're not having sex with her because she big. It doesn't.
Because let me tell you what men are having sex with.
There's whole categories on porn for it.
Very popular categories.
And there's a TikToker. There are 2 TikTokers where this is all they talk about. I'm deep in the TikTok hole. So
I'm trying to get into TikTok culture. Every time something goes viral, I'm like, you have a TikTok, use it.
I'm deep in it. I'm in it. I'm one of those people where like eventually if you watch for so long, like a TikTok PSA pops up and it was like, you've been watching for a while. Maybe you should get up and like take a break. You have to watch for a while to get to that.
I'm glad that TikTok cares about like our screen time.
They are like, yep, it happens anytime you watch. I think it's like an hour.
They're getting backlash now though because they're not allowing search for Black Lives Matter hashtag on TikTok.
So now I have not done a good job of following up on this, but I did see that the social media reporter for the New York Times reached out to them and got a comment back. And they were like, hey, actually, we're having a problem with the system overall. They gave an explanation for it. Now, TikTok has got its own stuff, right? It's, it's got its own issues, and they are certainly very real. But I think maybe this one has been addressed, why it could have happened. Now, I'm not saying give TikTok any extra credit. I'm just saying that they did come up with a logical reason for why.
I get it.
Quenisha says that she didn't realize that Gloria wasn't intimate
because they didn't want you to know, girl. They didn't want you to know.
Not to the second to the last scene when her and Gregory Hines, and it was what I like is pretty, but they kiss and then we don't see no more of their action. It's just like a brief kiss and then the camera pans away as if, and that always bothers me because we don't get a lot of sexual scenes with Black women. Now, even what I'll say, even though the movie is awkward, now let's be clear, Just Right is an awkward movie. That is an awkward casting.
I mean, honestly, who put those two? Who saw them together and said, that's it?
That movie.
It's such a good movie. I love it.
Awkward casting, but love it. I'm like, Idris, you could put Idris and like just for somebody else, but I appreciate it Just Right because we got to see a woman be intimate.
Yep.
And film just doesn't allow it unless it's in a joking manner.
So Sunday, when we had the watch party, I saw 2 conversations happening. One was saying that Waiting to Exhale was fatphobic around the way that they dealt with Gloria. Someone else said Waiting to Exhale was the first time I saw desire for bigger women on screen.
Both are true.
It validated me.
I think both are true. I think, and I like most things. 2 things are true at the same time. I remember seeing Gloria, and this is the time where I thought I was fat according to American standards, right? I was a size 10. So, but in 1996, size 10 was, oh my God. So, so I remember seeing Gloria and like feeling away, especially as I've gotten older. And it didn't hit me necessarily when I was 16 and seeing the movie. But when I was 26 and seeing the movie, it did. Because we have just let me be very clear. We have just gotten to the place where dudes was like, for real, openly, verbally checking for sisters that look like me. Right? Somebody in a size 16 wasn't like, this is a place we had to get to. And so that was a real thing. Like, Gloria would have probably been the same size as my mom, I guess. And I don't see my mom as a big woman. She was 14, I guess.
Someone pointed out like Gloria is like maybe a size 16, and like in the reality of Black womanhood, that's not a big woman.
The reality of American womanhood. Let's be very clear. We see so many images of tiny white women that I think we forget that plus size white women even exist.
Right.
And which, I'm certainly not about to have a session for them. Let them fix that for themselves. But this is a real thing. Like this idea that the right body is a tiny blonde white woman also harms white women.
And you know what? When you said that, it made me think about this girl who I went to high school with. She was a 12, maybe a 14, and white girl who felt she could only date Black boys because of the way she was built. And they were the only ones who would find her attractive. Who, honestly, we're talking about Alabama here. So she had issues around Black people and Black men as well. So it was just icky all over.
It's absolutely insane what we do to bodies. If you have time this weekend, there is this show on Hulu that is from Europe. It's called My Big Fat Diary. And it's like high school kids, but it centers around this girl who's 6 feet tall. She's probably like 230 pounds maybe. And she feels so bad about her body. And the whole show is about the mental health issues that occur because of her body issues. And it's a body issue show about a woman who's big. And it is wonderful and well done, like all European shows. And all the teenagers are drinking ale all the time. And it's
wonderful. I think about living single versus girlfriends. And while I absolutely love both, I always struggle with seeing myself in girlfriends because nobody in girlfriends is my body.
That's right.
They are exact same body type. In fact, the joke of girlfriends is that Joan has the biggest butt out of everybody. Whereas living single, Max is probably the same. Max is even thicker than the girls on Girl. I don't know, but Max is the smallest one. But Kim, Queen Latifah, Regine, they were all different body types. In fact, Regine is short.
Yeah,
because even in girlfriends, they're all the exact same height, same body type. Living single, to me, that show a lot. And so to see, and what I love about living single is never really addressed, but you can see Sinclair's weight go up through the season. And so to see a relationship like that with Overton, that was my first okay, it really matters. Queen Latifah got Scooter, it really does.
Queen Latifah got everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, Queen Latifah has kissed every fine Black man in Hollywood. When I'm jealous.
The Queen Latifah gets her Brad Pitt on, absolutely, and don't even want it. Why not me, Jesus? Why not me?
I have seen what you have done for others.
I've seen it.
And you know what? And living single is also powerful because that was the first time I ever learned what a breast reduction was.
It is why I had a breast reduction. It is why I felt like I could have a breast reduction, and I did.
I did not know that, Candace.
Little secrets. Yeah, I sure did. I was young. I was 21 or 20 or something like that. Yeah. It's been 1,000 years.
So television is really powerful. It the images that we see, it shapes who we are, and it helps us navigate the world we live in. Allison, you were just telling a story about that. You want to tell it like we were talking about it before we went live?
Which story about BET? Okay, because with the Nelly battle, Tip Drill, BET, I'm starting to rethink all this stuff, right? So it is the 40th anniversary of BET this year. And they've been running, 40 years of BET promo. So they've been interviewing different celebrities, talking about what BET means for them. Like Sierra did a really good one, said, BET's the one that pushed goodies. It's the reason why I'm here. So they're interviewing Megan Thee Stallion. And Megan Thee Stallion was like, I would not be here if it wasn't for BET. And she tells the story. She's like, when I was in 8th grade, I used to stay up every night and watch BET Uncut. And I used to be in my room dancing to BET Uncut. And she's like, my grandma busted the room like, what you doing, girl? She was like, I froze And then she says, honestly, Megan Thee Stallion would not be here if it wasn't for BET Uncut. So thank you, BET, for everything you do. And it said, And I thought about that because I'm like, yeah, we're in such an acceptable twerk culture. It makes sense that if you're 13 watching BET, you can already rap at that age. Well, then why can't I do both?
Yep.
So, and it's where the way women controlling their sexuality has changed. These women saw BET Uncut and they did not see themselves. A lot of our conversation, we were in college when BET Uncut was on. And a lot of our conversation was around the male consumption of BET.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we gave fair room to women who were learning how to control their sexuality through these images and owning it for themselves and not doing it for male gaze.
But we couldn't admit that. Like
we couldn't.
We were. Oh my God, no!
I watched BET Uncut every chance I got.
Yeah.
Fascinating to me. I had never seen. I remember watching BET Uncut, and I remember we used to watch the bootleg videos of Luke when Luke used to tour and take his dancers on.
Mm-hmm.
When they would do stuff with their vaginas and shoot stuff out. And I remember watching it fascinating. Like, I didn't even know the female body could do this stuff. I didn't even know the female body was capable. So to me, it was amazing because you don't get to see those images with, like, you're not supposed to. When I say, I've seen porn, people like, you're a girl. You watch, girls are taught not to like their sexuality unless it's the demeaning way.
I remember the conversation we had, and we were grown. We were out of college with like my closest girlfriends where like somebody was finally willing to admit they masturbated. I can remember that conversation. Mm-hmm. It was so taboo. It was like, yeah, I do too. Oh yeah, me too. Like it's so crazy to me now. Mm-hmm. And I don't imagine, I mean, certainly there are, but I think that there are less groups of 20-year-old girls, even Black girls, having conversations like that because they don't have to live inside of these same restrictions we had to live inside of. Mm-mm. And God bless them.
And they have more. All we had was Janet and TLC saying, and you know,
yep. And Donna Summers. And Donna Summers.
Okay. Moaning on the record.
Oh, literally moaned for a solid 5 minutes on the record. So, and all the women in blues.
Is it fair to say that BET Uncut could have been like created for misogynistic purposes, but it also empowered women in a way that many couldn't understand at the time? Like, are both of these things true, or is it one, or do we have to choose one or the other when we're having this conversation?
Same way that the sex industry is by and large created to promote masculinity, there are things that are incredibly empowering that come out of the sex industry that work for women and that make women wealthy and give them power and give them autonomy over their bodies. So yeah, I think that's what OnlyFans was getting at. Like that's what OnlyFans was. Right?
Until we found out there were digital pimps on OnlyFans, which was
that was the saddest day of my life.
No, because I was really excited about OnlyFans being this feminist economy where women are owning their sexuality, and if they're choosing to profit off of it, they can do it on their terms. And then I log on the Twitter, and the man is talking about, I'm her manager, promoting her OnlyFans. Sir, you're a digital pimp.
Dog, I can put up the same Instagram ads.
It's a fear of female sexuality and empowerment. It's just a fear of it. And that's why it's always dehumanized. That's why the character tropes are always the femme fatale. She always got to stay punished because she's a sexual woman. Or in horror movies, as soon as the woman loses virginity, she dies. Like, it is just this fear of, I don't know, and I'm still trying to grasp it. What is wrong with a woman who loves her sexuality?
Oh, because if you were to embody all of your sexuality and all of your power, you wouldn't want men.
I still want the men. Not for financial reasons.
All right, we have 15 minutes left in today's show. If you have questions, drop them in the comment section, and so that we can pull those questions into this conversation. Wow, y'all are so smart. Like all these dots that have been connected. Quick random question that I did not prep y'all for. Your favorite line for Waiting to Exhale?
Okay.
That's quotable.
My favorite line is probably the worst line in the movie. It's my favorite scene in the movie. I understand also I'm a child of comedy, so I love a good comedic line and delivery. And it's when Robin is breaking up with old boy in the leather. And she is throwing him, and she was like, I'm breaking up with you. And he's like, you raggedy. You won't care who you pick up in the grocery store. Then she throws food, and she's like, don't you throw your food up there? He's like, little tramp. I don't know why that's my favorite. I think it's just because the way it's delivered, but my favorite, like, serious line delivered by a Black woman is probably still Bernie's. I don't care. I still need to be held, even if it is lying. And when Robin is the football player, is like, and he's fine as hell. And if she don't want to, I slam dunk him tonight.
So I love that scene between Robin and Leon. What is his name in the movie?
I can never think of his name.
Troy. Robin and Troy. Because it feels like a real fight. Like, it is a fight that I would have as I'm breaking up with the guy. You need to be more careful with who you meet in the grocery. Sir, what does that even mean? Like, what are you saying about yourself?
You know what? You saw that I was a full crackhead when you picked me up. You saw it. Because he had on that same leather vest.
Right.
Okay?
Who shops in a leather vest?
It's Arizona in the summer.
Take your hot ass wearing leather in the summer. It's just the best.
Oh my goodness. No one's sending us question, guys.
Good for them.
It means we answered everything, or we are really that foolish.
So, anything that I did not ask that you wish I would have asked today?
Yes, we did not deal with the issue of homophobia in this movie.
Homophobia, yes. So we talked about fatphobia in Waiting to Exhale, the homophobia in Waiting to Exhale around Tyreek's dad. What was Dad's name?
I cannot remember his name. But
I don't know if he had a name.
What was this still like
Dad? I'm just thinking of Gregory
Esposito.
One of the greatest actors,
yes,
of all time.
If you need a person of color and not a Black actor, they will throw. I love Giancarlo Esposito.
Me too.
I never picked up in this time watching. I didn't pick up to this time watching Waiting to Exhale. I was realizing the father said he was bisexual.
Right. And
I'm just like,
but baby, in the 90s.
So,
and I mean, even today, it's still a problem and stuff.
That's right.
That's why he's sleeping with you and not like he's bi. But now
I had this conversation recently on Facebook around women our age, late 30s, early 40s, and biphobia, why they have problems dating bisexual men. And what it made me think about is, like, we grew up in the era of Waiting to Exhale, of JLP, where men who were bisexual, because they didn't have the autonomy over their sexuality, it was often painted as down low and deceptive.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
Even having the conversation around biphobia, I think we have to have a conversation of, like, the culture that wants that. The culture that stopped men from expressing their true sexuality and told us that their true sexuality was deceptive. And, like, there's a process of unlearning that and unpacking that.
Absolutely. You hit it.
And I think we have to have the conversation, be able to draw the line between, I actually really just don't want to date somebody who is bisexual and I think it's okay. And I think on both sides, we kind of get into you don't want to date somebody who's bisexual. That means you're biphobic. Instead of saying, okay, let's give you all the tools and information, and then you make the healthy decision on what you want to date first.
This is the same thing with dating somebody who has an STD, or dating somebody who has a chronic disease. Like, all of the same considerations, right? Well, I should say all the same, but the way you would test whether or not you are the person for the job is the same process. It's the exact same process.
And at 40, I guess we have to have more of those chronic disease conversations.
Oh, girl, listen. I tell my girlfriends, like, you all, want to ask about STDs, but you're not asking about diabetes. You're not asking about hypertension. And all of these things are going to impact your life, certainly your sexual life.
Ooh.
Big time. Big time. We don't have those conversations. We ask financial, we ask past sexual partners, we ask everything other than, you know, and I think it started hitting me because I just saw a lot of people pass away at 40.
Yeah.
Heart disease, liver issues, stuff like that. We don't ask those questions.
Nope.
The real health questions that all need to go into it.
Yep.
But as far as like, we have to address how sexuality is portrayed as something as deceptive. We have to break down the narrative that for every one gay man, that's one less husband for a woman. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. And I think a lot of that is connected and, it's deception. But most importantly, this means that there are going to be less men for to date. And I saw somebody say one time, like, baby, even if he was still straight, that don't mean he pick you.
They stay not picking us. So,
right. So it doesn't make it.
I've dated a lot of straight men who have not picked me. So here we all are.
Listen, it won't be the first time that I'm not picked.
It likely not the last.
Nope.
And guess what? You live to see another day.
And still I rise.
I saw an interesting tweet, and I always think about it. I always want people to have more conversations. It said, a big part of homophobia is that men are afraid that other men are going to treat them like they treat women.
That's it. That is it. That is why cis heterosexual men are so uncomfortable around gay men, because they're afraid that gay or bisexual men are going to treat them like they treat women.
And what are you going to do? Because he's just as strong as you. So it's this whole, like, a lot of it. And so we don't have conversations in the church about sexuality, because then you got to address text, you got to address interpretations, you got to address a lot and unpack. But in order to do that, you need leaders who are truly comfortable in their sexuality to be able to lead those discussions.
Say what?
And a lot are not.
So you mean my leader can't be silently sleeping with the whole church while upholding purity theology and have healthy conversations around sexuality?
No, you can't be out here being Pastor Future, shooting up the church club and getting everybody pregnant, and then out here preaching wait till marriage and women should do this, women should do that. I mean, we can be Uchiwali in one. You can be Uchiwali in one mic, but don't act like you can't.
Oh,
because if people are like it's one or the other, no, you can be both. You just gotta just say I'm both.
And it's true. You know what? I like to say right here on the record, I am Uchiwali, and I'm also one mic.
Mm-hmm. I'm Tip Drill, and I'm Nina Simone for women.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it feels good to be both, right?
Yep.
I have a shirt, one of my favorite shirts. It says Coretta and Cardi B.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be one or the other, and I think the church tries to convince you that because that's where we use that language, the world versus us. And I'm like, it's all it can be all one, y'all.
Well, look at what we do to first ladies. Ooh. I mean, they basically become, so if you have not watched the show The Great on Hulu, please go watch it. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's about a Russian monarchy. And in so many ways, I saw like what happens to first ladies in churches through watching her become queen of Russia. And you come there to be quiet, but you also come there to do politicking with women who hold all of the social capital, right? Who really make the country run. Because if they're unhappy, like the women weren't unhappy that their husbands were away at war, right? And so she had to make the women happy. So she had to get the war to end as first lady. But nobody saw her power. Nobody cared that she was really the one who ended this war. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing that first ladies go through all the time in churches. They have to be these like delicate, but also very authoritarian, but also humble, but also like exuberant characters. Mm-hmm. How can you be all of those things to all of these people? Also, while still not having any sexuality. I have yet to have a first lady talk about sex.
You gotta meet my mama.
Honestly, I want to meet your mother so badly. I deeply want to meet your mom.
But my mom talks about it like her ministry. Yup, and that yeah.
Keisha said the first problem is we call them first ladies.
Yeah. And my mom is a preacher, and get tickled because my dad's a pastor, but my mom was in ministry. When my mom met my dad, she was in seminary. My dad was working at the airport. She thought she was marrying a baggage handler. And then he got a call from ministry. So she talks about how she's very clear. She's like, if I'm coming to a conference, she'll call church up. She's like, the flyer says me as first lady. My name is Reverend. Change the title. Like she's very clear on that. But what I appreciate about growing up with her is that she always gathered other first ladies and created a safe space just for them. Her first lady circle, she's very clear on the rules. This is not time to come do scriptures and Bible study. This is our time to talk about the craziness we dealing with, the pressures we dealing with, what's expected of us. And there are they don't talk about it a lot, but there are a lot of first ladies to be like, I'm not even coming to church. It's fine. You're fine. That's not my
honestly, that would be me as a first lady.
All right, listen, I'll give you twice a month.
Oh, girl, I was twice a year. Okay. All right, twice a month. I got you. Twice a month, I'm there. Only for 10 o'clock service. I'm not doing all them services.
I'm not doing all day, no.
And I'm not eating all this pound cake either.
I don't even know. I don't know what your house look like. Do you have dogs or cats? You bringing this pound cake to the church? I don't know where this pound cake
I don't know your life, ma'am.
And I don't want to experience it through this pound cake.
I don't want to meet little spots through this pound cake.
All right, we are about to check out. Before we leave, is there anything that you are watching, reading, listening to that you would like to share with the people?
This is going to be wild. Okay, I'm watching the Parkers, and I am revisiting the Parkers, and I'm trying to understand how much of our disdain in the Parkers is rooted in how much we hate images of a different type of Black class.
I think it is.
So that's what I'm rewatching, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So I would recommend for a lot. I would recommend for my anti-Tyler Perry Blacks to rewatch the Parkers.
I'm going to have to sit and like look in the mirror and reflect on that. Because,
a lot of my this is what's a good Black image. This is what's not, and I'm having to face a lot of my own Black media judgments by watching the Parkers.
Okay. We'll commit to doing that.
I am going to suggest that everybody go follow MLK50 on Twitter or Facebook or Medium. It is a journalism organization based in Memphis, Tennessee, that does incredible investigative journalism for low-wage Black folks in Memphis. It is a wonderful example of what journalism can do when it is utilized for people and not to uphold power. And they deserve not just your attention, but also to make a donation.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I've been out the loop on that one. I just started watching This Is America, which I thought that was going to be a Shirley Chisholm story, and it is so much more. I am like on episode 3. I think I finished episode 3 last night. I sat down to watch one episode and got completely sucked in. And what I really appreciated is it opened up with conservative white women and showed how, like, while they were pretending to be free, the same misogyny had its foot on their backs and wouldn't let up even while they were organizing to uphold its power. So yeah, good television. Really interested in finishing that series. And we are going to give the last word to Christian, who says, "That's real. My pastor's wife was an OBGYN, barely made service because of work. She got so much flack." And with that, we're going to wrap it up by saying, let women be women. Women are more than helpmates to their male partners. Let them be their full selves, free to live, love, their being as they choose. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.